Hey people, welcome back. This is Course 9, Sleep and Restoration. This is one of my favorite courses because out of all the things that we've learned, this is the most practical thing that we can do, yet it is also the most etherical. It's the most metaphysical. It is the most symbolic thing that we can possibly learn throughout this entire course. This is something that's rough, it's a little bit tough, but it's peaceful and it's also gentle. How can it be both? This is a riddle. What are we going to do? Sorry for all of these movements, but I want to show you that that is the point of things in this course. Sleep and restoration really refers to us transforming things, and this is what we call death. To change is to provide depth to what is and to birth what is to become. You gotta stop in order to start. Stopping is not starting, and starting is not stopping. So at any point in time, one becomes the other, there is a depth in between. That is what we call space. By us having separation in space, there is a depth to either you or me. But that is on the inside of us. When we're looking at things on the outside of us, it's not depth to you or I, it's depth to our potential. It's depth to our connection. It's depth to our pathways. If it's depth to the difference between us. The category potential becomes death versus things that are alive. Here's another way to understand it. Things that are going to grow or things that are going to not. If you say no to something, does that interaction create growth? No. That interaction um sorry. That interaction creates a new point of view. And that point of view that is created helps us understand how we're going to move forward. And in myself, in my life, in my mind, in my understanding, this is what's going to occur. That means we are resting on everything else. That means we're putting to sleep everything else. These are the only people I'm going to save. This is the only thought that's going to survive. Everything else is going to die. That is a very difficult thing to try to understand if you don't have a very deep understanding about change, about the details of the differences. And as we're developing these differences, we're going to start to see these details as they occur, as they populate, as they present themselves. Because in reality, as y'all saw that person behind me, these things happen in order to see how we can bring death to those around us in a manner that will bring life to those within us. How do we motivate ourselves through sad times, through change? Well, it's to appreciate all of the changes and the things that will remain, whether they're micro or macro, over time. So, let us get to the nitty gritty of this and let's get into a little bit deeper understanding. So, Course 9, Sleep and Restoration. Chapter 1 is going to give us a really basic understanding of what sleep is. Why is it comfortable for you? Why is it not comfortable for you? Is going to come later. We're just going to be looking at what is the premise of the science of sleep. And it's simple. It's cycles. Everything is a cycle. It's all repeating. It's always repeating. But what is repeating is the key. That is what we've been practicing ever since course 5. Identification of the key, whether that is the key construct, the key category, the key detail, doesn't matter what the key ones are, but we know that the key comes in the differences of all of those things that we see. As we have those differences, we must realize that sometimes in a different state, we are able to retrieve information because certain things are not happening. Just like when you are aware of things that you want to happen versus don't. You can be aware of those things. And because you are aware of those things, you can start to rest on others. This is the idea of sleep. When one part of you is so in a state, your conscious is that version of who you think you are, who thinks is in control and living a life. That version of you, when it is sleep, it knows that it is still living a life, but that ego part of you is now inactive. It's not activating your body. So it when we're asleep, it looks like we're dead. But what makes us know that we are alive is not just the internal functions of our body on the physical side, it also includes the things that happens in our mind, our psychologies. So, going into the idea of being mindful, if you are mindful of the things that you're putting into your body, then your body is going to be showing you ways to become mindful of its responses. So your body, instead of you thinking about your body parts, your body can now think towards you. And then you see these things as dreams. And sometimes craziest things ever could possibly happen inside of dreams. Sometimes really good things, really bad things. Sometimes these things feel close to you and real, like you're there and you're super conscious. And sometimes you don't even recall them. And so because this dream state is coming into your subconscious, this subconscious area is not the deep depths. We have been operating in the deep depths, which is the chaos of the details. That's where we've been. And so when we rise up to the subconscious, that is a difficult place for a lot of people who aren't on this journey of resparking their change. You have already been there, done that. You've already been in that subconscious range to where you built the habits to where they were conscious enough to where you can live a life. But what we're teaching you is that the consciousness is the lowest level. The consciousness is the foundation. The simple identification is the foundation. It's the basic, it's first grade. Because subconsciously enacting these things is where we want to get to, which concludes at course 7. And then in course 8, we're talking about the management of those things, which is it's a deeper subconscious, but it's not the depths just yet. It is the deep shallows. It is the shallow part of the deep. That means it's the bottom of the ocean floor instead of the inside oceans within the core. When I'm in a space of, let's say, Earth, where there should be no water, and next thing you know, there's a lake and a river and a waterfall. What is going on with these inside the ocean islands and caves? These things are just like you. They're crevices within your mind. And in your mind, you have these waters. And as you're flowing through these waters, you're seeing the layers of the ocean or the water, and you're starting to realize that parts of your consciousness is enacted through these layers. And as you expand upon these layers, the more out or external of you become, even more so to where in the darkest parts of life you meet other people. In the darkest mist of change, there are others there too. So that is the part where it is important to shine your light, because you never know who is in the same situation as you. And if it's a situation that you don't want to be in, and if you found somebody, automatically you would help them, you know that the same vibe is there too. That is the beautiful thing about knowing what you're putting inside of you. And so when you're sleeping, you're starting to get documentation of the life that you're living, the ways you're listening to yourself, the way you're helping to yourself, the way you're talking to yourself, the way you're praising yourself, shunning yourself. You're getting examples of what your body views about you. This is like a teacher getting an end of the year review from the students, the parents, the staff, the administrators. It's you being judged. It's you reading details from others' minds. It's you really understanding and processing the information that you've been identifying. But more importantly, it's the ways that you've been identifying and processing it in your unconscious mode. That means when you just hearing stuff just to hear stuff, and then you're hearing stuff a part of a conversation. Both of these things are seen with the sleep, but what you give yourself is what's going to help you understand these different sleeps. So, what if I have a disorder? What if I just have a problem? What if I have to, you know, what if I just can't sleep? What if I'm on medication? What if I had a surgery? What if, what? Well, there's always a way to help you with what you have as long as you can identify it. There's techniques just like we've seen with our food. So now since we know we've had practice with variety of things with food, and then we know we have practice with variety of viewpoints on our strategies, and then we know we have varieties within our habits, whether they're big or small, and then we know we have variety within our management, whether it's documentation, reflection, or purposeful practice. We can do the same thing with our subconscious actions. We can do the dark side of life now, the sleep side of life, the part that we can't consciously control that runs rampant and does its own thing, the kids in the classroom versus the teacher in the classroom versus me looking at classroom number 4, which includes the teacher and the students. I can start to see categories of myself being grouped together in certain areas, and then I can value the fact that they're all living their lives at the same time. Everybody doing their own thing in the house at once. Everybody on the planet living their life at the same time. Because we know this, we have to start to value and appreciate, really be grateful that we're not going through certain things that other people are, but because other people are going through things, maybe the things that they're using, their tools, their resources, like therapy, medications, or surgery, maybe those things might be beneficial for me too. So we should be able to thank each other for the things that they need to do to help them rest on certain areas and actions in life, certain interests, certain behaviors. But more importantly, we need to be able to see the differences between ourselves. And ourself is the key to the sleep because even to our own selves, we're not familiar with ourselves. So good sleep will help you learn who you are. And it's not about getting certain numbers. All of those things is foundational, but those things at a foundation is variable. So it's really about getting in tune to you and knowing that you're going to live certain time frames where you need more or less. There's going to be times where you need to realize that you're going to wish you had more, but you don't have it. And you're going to wish you had less, and you can't stop it. So we really got to start to pay attention to both sides. So now when we get into those things, we start to realize that we can take on different aspects of disorders that people go through therapies or use medications or self-help, whatever the strategies are for better sleep. We got to realize that there are causes for people to not have good sleep. These different things that we can explore are areas in life that we may experience time or not. Different physiological responses are connected to these psychological responses. Some of these things like snoring, some of these things like hypersomnia, not sleeping, not wanting to sleep, just being up. Some of those things, that put you in the hospital like sleep apnea, sleep deprivation. These things really kill people. And these are real things. And they're on extreme levels, like sleepwalking. Some people would never have an issue ever with sleepwalking. But does that mean that you might not have a kid that does it? So even if it's not pertaining to you, we know we can hold a space so where we can still learn and find value in that. But you got to understand that there's points in time where you enact things like sleepwalking in different forms. This micro thing is presenting itself as a macro form in a new way. Like when you're dead tired, but you still just clean up your house because you just want to clean up the house and just wake up to a clean house instead of saying, I'm going to go to sleep now and I'll just clean up the house and start my day off right. You wanted to already be there, but you're literally dragging your feet. You gotta understand those things that really help you understand yourself. That is a control aspect. You're not even letting yourself rest. You're not even doing the things to help you. You're controlling what you think instead of what you see that you need. And there's other areas of these aspects of health. Again, like not hitting REM sleep to where you don't ever feel rested. You know, you're always tossing and turning. That means there's a part of your body that is in motion. You know, sleep paralysis. That means that there's a consciousness that wants to be aware, but again, obviously, you're in the realm of the subconscious. This is the dark night. This is the defeat, the hero defeated. This is you after a loss needing to reflect. But you don't want to reflect, so you just feel like you're constantly being beat down. It's little things like this that help us understand how rest is important more so than just the physical, but it's ways to help us rest on energies, behaviors, actions, and interests. Rest the mindfulness. This is now us being unmindful. We don't want to be consciously mindful. This is the complete opposite. But it's counterintuitive to practice something all the way up to the end and then just throw it out. But that's the step. You gotta fall in love with the world and then at the end of the day say, forget the world. It means nothing to me. Because that helps you understand that there is a new world beyond the world that you see. So you would do things that make you look crazy and weird right now so the kids, like your grandchildren, can value that so much more in the future. So, what do? You buy some land and you plant a bunch of fruit trees, and guess what? Now your kids in the future, aka your grandkids, will really value you because the tree takes time, but they will love to have a backyard that's an orchard. They would love to have a rose garden for a backyard or a flower garden, seeing all the differences, a vegetable garden, learning and knowing and exploring and being able to have more details in life. But I did that 50 years ago. And you know what? In 30 more years, I'm not here no more, right? But my kids and my grandkids and my great grandkids are still valuing something that was created. Even if I'm at the most restful state called death. There's something about that action that was transmitted and birthed into life, even if it was something that did not pertain to me now. So I decided to say, hey, I'm going to take action, waste my time, waste my energy. I'm going to just use things and I'm not even going to get a return back. But because I want to do it and because I feel like I should and because I care about the things in the future, I'm going to sacrifice people and time, energy, and effort right now so I can do this for people, time, energy, and effort of the future. So I'm sorry, buddies. I can't play poker with you no more. I'm going to spend nothing but time over here. You can't just do poker once. I can't because the money I use for poker, I'm going to be now using it for my trees. So I'm sorry, fellas, but you know where to find me, and I'll wish y'all the best. Maybe we'll get together on Thanksgiving now instead of just poker night. Putting the sleep or the rest on the poker night allows you to create more from your dreams. The dreams that you carry from yourself is now active in the real world. So now when you're part of you that was dreaming that you should do this is getting a chance to practice it in the real world, other parts of your body can now add on to that dream and they're conscious now because you brought that dream to life. But if you fight the fact that you have this dream and you don't want to actually stop playing poker, guess what? You'll experience these means of stopping you from putting a rest on it. These excuses, as we would say for the poker game, but these will be the reasons why you can't get that sleep. These sleep disorders or conditions are the same conditions you will put on yourself when you're ending things in your mind, when you're putting a sleep or a rest on things, or even if you're just letting something charge up. Sometimes you don't know how to view it. So if I don't know how to view the restrictions, if I don't know how to view the details, then it's going to be hard for me to grant access to that thing and let what needs to happen happen. That chaos of the subconscious mind when everything is just doing what it wants. Everybody's giving you their ideas at once. So all of these crazy dreams you're having or not, they're being understood whether you comprehend them consciously or not. It's being processed. So this is the importance of sleep and why sleep is the end. Sleep is the end because it helps us understand that things are literally on the outside at the most macro influenced and impacted by our sleep. Like even in the workplace. Sleep deprived employees versus well rested employees. We clearly can see the differences between these two. And it's crazy because even with the factors of sleep and all the numbers and the hours in the bed and how you sleep and all of those things are factored in, the person who just has less always tends to do worse. With that being known, know how to give yourself an improvement of sleep. Even if it's not an increase in numbers, maybe it's the approach. Maybe it's the way that we do things prior. Maybe it's the food that we eat. Whatever it is, just know that all it takes is you making a decision to try something new for something that you know that you need. You just want to change what you got because you know it can't go away. So you're forced to have variety now. I'm sorry, we never have the same potatoes in this cafeteria. They always change. There's 700 potatoes. We're eating them all. There's only 300 days of the year, so maybe you'll get the same potatoes twice in 2 years. We just always do it different. That's life. It's always giving you new experiences to process, which is why sleep is important. So if you can prepare your body to process the information in the sleep the best way, then you will have the best way to make the best say. So I really hope that you understand how sleep is important to end things of the mind, which is why the dream state is important. So important that you should practice things to help you gain more intuitive control of yourself. To find these more intuitive control of the self is to go back to chapter 8 and manage the things that stress you and the stresses you cause for yourself. This way, you would have a deeper understanding of the things that your body is telling you when you are in an unstressed state, and then you can clearly see more details of the stressors in your waking state. Let's document the dreams that you see, reflect and review, and deliberately apply them anew. All right, I appreciate you guys for being here. I'm Mr. Renew, and you can barely see me, but I'll see you next time. Peace.